Flyers about to take on the Buffalo Sabres. But before we get there, there's a bit of reading here on the set. And over there, a man with a simply delightful mustache. And as a man who appreciates a good mustache, Sam Carchidi, how you doing?
Good. Yammer Yager once came up to me in the Flyers locker room and pinched my mustache and said, when I get older, I want to grow a porn mustache like you. So that was one of the highlights of that season. Yammer Yager, he was a beauty.
Oh, great. Sam, it's great to have you on the show. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
And we're going to talk a lot about what you see right here in front of me, your book that you just wrote with Chris Hare called Bullies.
Jeff Hare, right?
Or Jeff Hare, I'm
Sure.
sorry.
No problem.
And it's called Bullies, all about the Flyers, 74-75 and championship teams. But there's more to it than that. We're going to get into that in a little bit. But I wanted to kind of get your take as a guy who's been a lifetime observer of this hockey team and been through the muck with them over the last decade where it's been kind of miserable with this hockey team.
Yeah.
And just kind of get your impressions of where they are right now. I know you're not here on a daily basis like you used to be when you were a beat writer, but you're staying kind of on top of it. You write occasional columns about them. You do little video things about them and podcast stuff about them every once in a while. What's your impression about them right now?
Yeah, I'm very impressed and surprised, I should say. And we talked a little bit off the air about Dan Vladar. I think he's been the biggest surprise. He's probably been the Flyers MVP. I know he had a clunker the last game against the Penguins, but it's all about goaltending. The Flyers have been to the Stanley Cup Finals 7 times since they won their last cup, and they didn't win it because of goaltending. The last time, real well, was 2010, and
Michael Layton.
Michael Layton was terrific in the Cup semifinals. He had 3 shutouts, and then he was awful in the final. Niemi was bad, and Michael Layton was worse. or the Flyers win the Cup, and that was the year they should have won the Cup because everything fell into place. So you fast forward now 15 years later, and goaltending was still a big question. When they signed Vladar, I was not optimistic. I looked at his past record, and I thought he was just a mediocre goalie. I thought Sam Ersson was a good backup, so I wasn't so sure he would fit in, but he's played beyond expectations, and they've gotten great production, from some of the trade acquisitions. Zegras has been tremendous, and they have to fight through the injury to Forster, but this team plays with a lot of heart, and I think as long as they do, they'll be in contention for a spot. I'm not saying they're going to win a playoff spot, but you have to like what you see, and Risto is coming back probably in 2 or 3 weeks, so that's a positive. But I think now with Forster out, they're going to have to win more games defensively. Even with Forster, he led the team with 10 goals, but even with that, I know going into the last game, they were 25th in the league in goals scored, even with Forster. So they're going to have to win games with tight defense and good goaltending, and we'll see what happens. But they're a fun team to watch. They really are, and you got to love watching them.
And that's the thing, Sam. I think that is different this year than most other years. And look, we don't know where they're going to end up eventually, and I do think that the Forster injury hurts them more than maybe a lot of people want to let on. But the reality is that the way that they play, they're at least interesting again, right? And they are fun to watch. It's a good group in the locker room. Like you could kind of get behind these guys, whereas in the past you kind of felt like I'm not even interested, or like, oh man, they're so difficult to watch and it's frustrating. And then you got the coach yelling all the time about whatever he was yelling about, like that. It was grating at times. Now they seem like they're fun, and that's important, right?
I agree, and they're playing much more relaxed under Rick Tocchet, so give him a lot of credit. And I think when John Tortorella was hired, I think a lot of us in the media scratched our heads because not the type of guy you want for a rebuild. And I think unintentionally put a lot of pressure on his players, and that showed on the ice. I think they're playing much more relaxed right now, but I agree. Forster's injury is going to be a step back, but I'm anxious to see, if Konecny steps up, if Tippett steps up, and and a lot of other guys too. So it's going to be fun. I think some of these guys will step up. But as I said before, I think defense is going to be the key for this team. They have to hold the fort while Forster is out.
I just wanted to pop this back up. I know Andrew already put it up, but we had a super chat from Andrew Fawcett. Thank you, Fawcett. Appreciate that. Says, Sam, your next book should be Flyers goaltending, a mystery story.
I like it. I like it. It's been a head scratcher. What are the odds that the very first player they drafted in the expansion draft in 1967, number one, Bernie Prawn, would be the best goaltender in franchise history, 50-some years later?
I know, it's crazy.
It's amazing. And Doug Favell was picked number 2, and he was a pretty good goalie, too. Probably better than a lot of the goalies they've had during their 50-plus year history. But, we got spoiled too early, I think. And, they've had some tough circumstances, obviously, with Pelle Lindbergh and Carter Hart, and we could go on and on. But he's right. That would make an interesting book. I mean,
and make it a mystery novel too, right? Like, a completely mystery novel, right?
I like it.
I want to bring this up because this will kind of get us into your book a little bit. Mr. Bone 009 says displayable book cover. So that's a good.
It's catchy.
That's catchy, right? It's a catchy book cover that you got there. So before we talk about the book itself, I know that a lot goes into the making of a book. What goes into your book cover when you put a book together? I know you've written a few of them now. So what goes into that decision? How much are you involved in that call?
Actually, on most of the books I've done, I have not had much input. And I did a book years ago on Adam Talaferro, the football player from Penn State, who was paralyzed and amazingly walked out of the hospital 3 months later. And I wanted it to be called Adam's Walk, and they ended up calling it Miracle in the Making. But on this one, I've done 6 books with Triumph, and they gave me, to their credit, they respected my decision, I guess. And I said, I don't want this to be a story just about the Broad Street Bullies. Most people in Philadelphia area know about the Bullies, but I want to give the feeling that this is a story about the guys now and what they feel about what happened 50 years ago, because this is not a book that rehashes what they did in the 74 finals against Boston or the 75 finals against Buffalo. This is behind the scene, what the players went through, their lives off the ice. And I thought the perfect photo to go with that was the 50th anniversary photo of all the players when they came back on the then Wells Fargo Center ice. So, we incorporated that and the picture of Bernie and Clarkie, and I'm very thankful that Triumph Books gave me that freedom to do that, and I think it hits. It kind of tells what this book is about. It's not about 74, 75. It's not about the roof blowing off the first year. Sure, some of those things are mentioned, but mentioned casually. But the real impetus of the book is the love affair between the Flyers fans and the Flyers and what these players went through. And I think it's really cool to look at their impressions of what they did 50 years later.
Yeah, and so let's talk a little bit. Go ahead.
Really quick, just on the actual writing of the book. I know some people, especially if you're covering a team actively, you kind of have some of the general skeleton of what the book would look like. You might even have a couple of the sections kind of fleshed out. What was the timeline on this one? Were you working on this over the last few years while also covering the team? Was this something you kind of step away a bit and then you go, all right, now it's time to focus in on it? What did that look like?
Yeah, that's a real good question, Russ. It was probably a 6-month thing, but actually this book started out as a TV series. Jeff Hare, who was from Roxborough originally, was a 9-year-old kid when the Flyers won the Cup, and Jeff and I were working on another project. He's a producer of and director of many Lifetime films, and he grew up in Roxborough but has lived in L.A. because of his professional career for the last 30-plus years. And we were working on another movie project, and during that time, Jeff said to me, this would be great if we could somehow make a TV series out of that. So that was the first thought. We were going to make and we still are trying. And so Jeff, I was the main guy for the book. Jeff was the main guy for the script for the TV series. We have 2 episodes written. We have an outline for 8 episodes for 2 years, so 16 episodes. And we're shopping that around the TV studios. And as I said, the book and the TV series are more about the Flyers' lives off the ice and what they went through. And and Rexy's is a big part of it, and all these things that don't really have to do with hockey, but they have to do with their personalities, and it's very interesting, we think, and we did show it to Sylvester Stallone's company, Balboa Productions, and they had it for about 5 weeks, and after 2 weeks they said, could you have 2 years written, could you do 4 years? And we said absolutely, because we have an outline. The book serves as an outline.
Yeah.
So we were, feeling pretty good. But then after 5 weeks, they deal with Amazon Prime. They sell most of their shows to Amazon Prime, and Amazon Prime didn't feel it had enough international appeal. At least that's what they told us.
I'm trying to think of there haven't been that many team-specific things. The one that was most recent, there was one that was on FX. Around the Clippers, like a more recent one, and then there was the Showtime Lakers, right?
Winning Time.
Yeah, over on HBO, right?
Yeah. Well, HBO did do a Bullies documentary.
Right. This is not a documentary.
Back in the day, right?
Right.
Yeah,
about 12, 13 years ago. This is not a documentary. It's a scripted series with actors and actresses playing Bobby Clark, Ed Snyder, Lou Nolan. You can go on and on. Dave Schultz, and but
could be a very interesting premise, though, for sure.
And Winning Time, it's sort of like Winning Time, but not as negative. I don't know if you guys saw that. But Winning Time kind of crucified Jerry West.
He did. Yeah.
And ours wouldn't be like that. And we have permission from the NHL, and that's the first thing they asked us. Because
really?
The NHL said to us, "This isn't going to be like Winning Time, is it?" And we said, "Absolutely not." And ours is more positive. We don't sugarcoat anything, but it's more of a positive look, and we're excited about it. But in the meantime, we decided to try a book, and Triumph took a chance on us, and now the book is out first before the TV series, and we're still plugging away. I don't know if you know Susan Blanchard Ryan. Ron Ryan was
Open Water,
great actor. She's part of our Bullies team.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, Ron Ryan, her dad was the Flyers president in the early 2000s.
Yeah, of course I remember Ron.
Yeah. Do Nashville stories there? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah. But great guy, Ron. And Susan's a wonderful person. And she's great because she knows the hockey side and she knows the TV and movie side.
Yeah.
And she kind of flushes everything out. So she's a big part of our
So
team.
if you've ever seen the movie Open Water, Russ?
No.
So there's a little nod to the Flyers in that. It's about two people who get stuck out in the boat.
Scuba diving.
They're scuba diving. The boat leaves without them, and they're stuck in the middle of the
Why you shouldn't
water.
scuba dive?
And but in the opening scene, she's laying in bed and she's got Flyers magazine in bed with her.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was a little nod.
Yeah, she's great.
She's great,
and she knows hockey like nobody else I've met. She's in a fantasy hockey leagues.
Yeah,
and she lives in New York City, and she still is an actress, but she does a lot of behind the scenes work. She enjoys that more than acting, because that I think was in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
But if you get a chance, that's a great movie to look at. It was critically acclaimed. It was a really good movie.
Usually when you're wrapping up a book, there's some stuff that kind of ends up on the floor, right? Some stuff has to get cut for a myriad of reasons. Would you say that there's enough there that if you wanted to do a second book, you could?
Good question, but probably not. I think we have about 260 pages, and we put everything into it. We did a lot of editing. We had 1,000 pages of transcripts.
Wow.
From the interviews we did. We interviewed almost all the Flyers, and I can't say enough about those Flyers from that era and their wives or ex-wives and people behind the scenes, and they were just so forthcoming. We learned a lot of things that have never been out there. For instance, one of the players, I don't want to give too much away, revealed that he was molested when he was 12 years old. Didn't tell anybody until he was 70.
Wow.
And he lived with that the entire time. And there were a lot of things, like not as dramatic as that, but a lot of things we learned, from the owner to the players to, behind the scenes people that we did not know. And but like I said, we had 1,000 pages of transcripts, interviews, and we boiled that down to, I think it's 256 or 260 pages. We probably have enough, maybe for a couple more chapters, but we hope we put the best stuff that we had in there. But you're right, it took a lot of editing.
I can imagine.
Just so you know, Sam, people are already buying it. I mean, Rob Ski said he just ordered it on Amazon.
That's awesome.
It's on sale.
Oh, it's on sale. It started in October on Amazon, and Dave Schultz and I are going to do a book signing in Rexy's. Rexy's, of course, was their big hangout in West Collingswood, New Jersey. We're doing one Friday. I'll be there 4 to 8. Dave's going to join me from 6 to 8. And we're also doing one at the Wells Fargo Center next Thursday. It's Heart of Heart and the Vegas Golden Knights are coming in that night, and who knows if Carter Hart will play. My guess is he doesn't. But before that game, Ginny Pratt has been very graciously accepted to come and talk to the fans that come in about Bernie, and if you want to share stories about Bernie. So we'll be there we'll be at the, I still say Wells Fargo Center, but we'll be at Xfinity next Thursday before the game and during the intermissions. And we're going to donate a good portion of our proceeds towards the Ed Snyder Foundation.
That's great.
And education. So really looking forward to that.
That's awesome. So there's your pre-Christmas schedule for book signings, as you can see, all around the area. What I'm noticing, Sam, and I got to tell you, as a Delco guy, you don't have any signings in Delco where there's huge Flyers fans.
Well, wait a minute. Is it Havertown in Delco? Or
where? Oh, you're at Carl's Cards.
Yeah.
Oh, it doesn't say Havertown.
Sam, you know what?
It doesn't say Havertown. That is
Sam,
Delco.
you know what you could do?
That is Delco.
If you want to spike his head into the desk right now, nobody can see. All right, the camera isn't on the stream. If everybody just hears a thump, and
I don't want to
it's
do that. He's been
gone.
nice enough to have me on, so I don't want to do that.
I didn't know because it didn't say Havertown.
Yeah.
But yeah, Carl's Cards is in Havertown. That is correct.
Okay, but yeah, we'll probably do other ones in Delco because I know Delco and South Jersey are the hotbeds for the Flyers.
100%. 100%.
There's another order.
There's another order. You just got another order.
Wow.
There you go.
I'll
Mr.
tell you
Bone.
what, we just, that's what we do here on the Press Row Show.
Yeah. There you go. There you go. So who was, without having to, I know you don't want to give much away from the book, but who really surprised you with how open they were in talking about their life and basically that time, that era? Like, was there anybody you were like, wow, I wasn't expecting to get that much great detail from this particular player?
Yeah, I would say Billy Clement. And Billy, of course, was in the media. He's a Hall of Fame media person. So I guess I'm not that surprised. But the detail he went into on some of this stuff that went on at Rexy's, at hotels. I don't want to give up too much stuff away, but Billy was tremendous, no holds barred. That Billy is happily married now and a great guy. I wanted to get that in there in case Bill's watching. Love you, Bill. But he told a story about Rexy's. I don't know if we have enough time, but
Go ahead, yeah.
yeah. Anyway, he said he was called up as an extra. I think he was like 20, 21. He hadn't played for the Flyers yet.
Yeah.
And somebody told him, go sit at Rexy's. Go to Rexy's. It's a Flyer hangout. So he went there. He didn't really know anybody. He sat on one side of the bar, and he said he looks at the other side. And I don't know if you remember Tim Rosevich. Tim Rosevich was a crazy Philadelphia Eagle who ate glass, ate fire, and he had a big afro. And he comes in with a beautiful girl on his arm. They sit down on the other side. And Bill had no idea who this guy was. And he asked somebody next to him, he befriended these people on the other side of the bar. They said, that's Tim Rosevich. He's the crazy linebacker on the Eagles and a good linebacker. And he said before too long, the woman that was with him on the other side is kind of flirting with Bill, and he's talking and not really paying attention. And then the girl walks on the other side of the bar and starts talking to Bill, and Bill's a little uncomfortable. And then he said, we got in a lip lock. And again, Bill's not married. He's like 20 years old. And he said, whoa, Tim Rosevich is probably 6'4", 290 pounds or whatever. Bill's, not that he's scrawny, but he's scrawny compared to Rosevich. And she said, whoa, your buddy over there, he's giving me the eyes. And she said, don't worry about him. So she goes on the other side, and they have an animated discussion. And after 5 minutes, Tim Rosevich leaves the bar by himself. And I said, and she came back over to Billy Clement, and I said, what did she say to him? He said, to this day, I have no idea, and I don't care. So, yeah, stories like that, and that's just a sample of
that's great.
The openness and the color. And but those guys, I can't say enough. I mean, they really poured their hearts out, and it was awesome.
Pretty safe to say that team, those teams, if it had been a social media age,
it wouldn't have played too well.
Yeah, it'd been a whole different world.
Yeah.
It'd been a whole different world.
In fact, we kidded about that with them, but you're absolutely right.
Well, Fawcett just said he can't wait to read it. His weekend is going to be occupied. Sam, I can't wait to read it. You sent me a copy graciously. It's actually it's sitting in my office. I got it a few days ago, and I read the foreword. That's the most I had. The most time I had yet.
Dave Schultz.
I read Dave Schultz forward, which was great.
San Filippo, so busy.
But I will absolutely be reading this. Once the Flyers are back on the road again, and I have time sitting at home, I will be diving in because it's some great stories that I want to read.
And I should say, Dave poured his heart out in this book, and so thankful to him and all the guys. From Bob Kelly, Bobby Clark. I could go on and on, but. They really showed warts and all, and I think we did them justice. They were great guys. They were down-to-earth guys that you wanted to sit with at a bar and talk with, and they're still like that, which is great to see.
That's awesome. So obviously you can get it on Amazon. I'm sure it's in all the bookstores as well.
Yeah, it's Barnes & Noble and these book signings, and Amazon. That's correct.
Yeah, awesome. Check it out. Bullies by Sam Carchidi and Jeff Hare. Sam, like I said, I can't wait to read it. And best of luck with whatever else is coming. I hope the TV show gets picked up. I know there's some other projects that you're working on that are Flyers related that could be exciting as well. So
I appreciate
I'm looking forward to it, my friend.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Sam Carchidi. Check it out, guys. Get this book wherever you go. Absolutely.